Okay, so in the interest of everybody's time, we'll get going and start with the webinar presentation. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining in today for today's webinar on the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program. My name is Pulkit Kathuria, and joining me today are my colleagues Kevin Fowler and Michael Stanier. We work with Plugin BC, which is a program of the Fraser Basin Council. Here at Plugin BC, we provide information on plug-in vehicles and charging incentives throughout British Columbia. So before I begin with the webinar presentation, I would like to acknowledge that I respectfully reside and work on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. So today's webinar is being hosted to provide information about the program and also the application process for the next review funding round. The deadline date for which is Friday, 12th of August, 2022 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So so this is the agenda for the presentation today. We'll be going over the program process, and after this, we'll delve into details of some very important components of the program application process, which includes scoring preferences, site design, operation and maintenance calculator. And at the end, we'll be summarizing the application process as to what steps an applicant goes through while applying for this particular program. And in the end of the presentation, at the end of the presentation, we'll be opening the room for question and answer session. So you could also type in the questions as and when they come, and we'll be answering them at the end of the presentation. So to begin with the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program, it is funded through the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Low Carbon Innovation of the province of British Columbia, and it is administered by the Fraser Basin Council Society, the organization we work with. So this program incentivizes level 3 direct current fast chargers and level 2 charging stations for use by the general public. So one of the basic eligibility criteria for this program is that the proposed charging stations should be publicly accessible 24/7 all around the year. This is one of the few, I would like to mention that this is one of the few requirements that need to be fulfilled in order for you to be eligible for to participate in the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program. So as you could see on the screen, this is the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program website. And on this website, you could find information pertaining to the rebates, eligibility criteria, application process, and also other resources. The website also includes the program guide, which provides comprehensive information, like I told you, about the eligibility criteria. So now the applicants are now required to go through an information session webinar, and it's required, where we'll be going over the program details. A recording of the webinar will be available to on the program website after the session. So if there is significant interest, we could also host a second webinar, and the details for which would be available online. So after the webinar, we will connect with those who were registered and attended the webinar and provide them with a list of documentation, the required documentation and general process steps. As a part of the application, we are encouraging and recommending the applicants to submit a site design and operation and maintenance plan and calculator. Although these are optional, but we do recommend it because these provide you with a better idea of your project. These will be discussed in the subsequent slides of the presentation as well. Also, in addition to the webinar, we'll also be holding and providing application support sessions for applicants throughout the application process. And applicants could reach out to us through email and also set up telephone or Zoom calls to address any questions and queries. And we'll try to address any questions and queries that you may have. So yeah, and finally, we'll be providing an application deadline reminder on the 5th of August, 2022. The application deadline, as you already know, is Friday, 12th of August at 2022 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Once a decision is made on your application by the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Low Carbon Innovation of the province of British Columbia, you will be notified by email if you have been successful. Remaining applications will be retained for future funding review rounds. So as you can see on the screen, these are the rebate amounts available for non-Indigenous and Indigenous entities. There are three main power output categories for which there are separate rebates available. The first category is greater than equal to 20 kilowatts up to 50 kilowatts. And second one is greater than equal to 50 kilowatts to up to 100 kilowatts. And third one is greater than equal to 100 kilowatts. So these, the first three are for DCFC, that is direct current fast charger, that is level 3 chargers. And the last one is for level 2 chargers. To be eligible for rebates for level 2 chargers, you need to have a station with an output of greater than equal to 32 amperes. So in addition to the power output of the EV charging stations, there are other factors that influence the rebates that you would be getting for your project. These include, like I said, the output of the stations is one of the basic ones. The next one is the capability of EV charging stations to charge vehicles simultaneously. So multi-port DCFCs are eligible for one rebate for each vehicle that can charge simultaneously at a given output level. The funding amount for of the multi-port stations will be based on the maximum simultaneous output level of operating ports. So let's say you go with a 150 kilowatt charger and it's able to charge cars. It's a dual port charger and it's able to charge cars simultaneously. Let's say at 75 kilowatts each being delivered from each port, then you would be eligible for rebates per port. That's which would like, for example, 75 kilowatts lies under the second output category of greater than equal to 50 kilowatts up to 100 kilowatts. So you get the charging rebate for that particular amount of output that that particular port is able to deliver. The next is tandem installations. So what are tandem installations? So I like to mention that it is also one of the eligibility requirements. So if your prospective installation location is greater than 500 meters from the nearest public charging station, then the project will require to install at least 2 ports per site, either tandem DCFCs or a DCFC and a level 2 to provide redundancy to the site. A multi-port station, another thing that I would like to mention here is a multi-port station on its own does not fulfill this requirement. You need to have 2 separate charging stations so that if one breaks down, you have another one that would act as a backup charger. So for tandem DCFC stations, a 75% funding limit will apply for non-Indigenous entities. I'll go back to the previous slide. As you can see, there's a 50% funding limit here, up to the maximum eligibility cost. So if you have tandem installations, it will go up to 75% for non-Indigenous entities. It remains 90% for Indigenous entities. And will apply. And while the combined dollar cap will remain the same, like mentioned on the previous slide for the different power output categories. So now we'll be going over some important components of the public charger program application. This is one of the, so scoring preferences is one of the components. And so after the deadline date, that is once we receive your applications for pre-approval, we'll be scoring them based on certain parameters. So one of the first parameters in the scoring metric is the location of your project site where these chargers are located. So we'll be looking at whether this particular project and the chargers is able to fill in the DCFC network gap in the province of British Columbia, whether it's located in underserved locations and whether it's located in highly dense areas, high density areas. So for this, you could refer to the BC Public Light Duty Zero Emission Vehicle Infrastructure Study, which is available on our website. The next bullet point for scoring preferences is that the proposed stations should be located with primary amenities. The primary amenities include like 24-hour lighting, washrooms, and Wi-Fi, so that the people who are using your charging stations are able to access these, because washrooms and Wi-Fi are some like very basic amenities. while they're charging their cars, they could use it. The next one is that the proposed stations are located with one or more additional DCFCs, but then again, it also depends upon the budget. So it's not a requirement, but these particular projects would be given preference where there's like tandem installation. So where there's one or more DCFCs, where there are multiple DCFCs on site. Again, I would like to mention that one of the eligibility criteria is tandem installation, like I explained earlier, and the prospective installation sites greater than 500 meters from the nearest public charger station will need to have multiple stations on the site to provide redundancy to the site. The next in the bullet points for scoring preference is the proposed chargers, if the proposed chargers are located nearby secondary amenities. Secondary amenities includes restaurants, shopping areas, parks, libraries, community centers, etc., so that the people could use them while they're charging their cars. Also, you'd get the next one is if when so it's the next in scoring preference is when a proposed project site is located on a primary or secondary highway, and if it includes a DCFC with an output of greater than 75 kilowatts, they'd be getting preference. However, the 75 kilowatts is just like wherever it is feasible, because there are other constraints as well, like there may be budget constraints. So those may be also taken into account. Okay, so another preference factor to include is to include a level 2 station with a higher output greater than like 32 amperes. This is also the bare minimum output for level 2 that we want if you want to get the rebates. If level 2 chargers are proposed, of course. The next is, if possible, if you could include an on-site Tesla CHAdeMO or CCS adapter to open stations up to Tesla cars as well. As we all know that Tesla cars and vehicles use supercharger network and Tesla specific chargers. The next is preference is also given to applicants who could include capability to add future DCFC expansions. For example, there's space on site where so that they could plan for future expansion to add another DCFC or a level 2 charger. Maybe they have oversized conduits left so that they could have another charger installed in the future. The next is they agree to provide on charger usage data in the future once they have the stations installed. And the last one is including site design drawings during the application process itself, during the pre-approval application, to include site design drawings and the operation and maintenance plan and calculator. These are highly recommended, although these are, again, I would mention, are optional. This gives us, especially the site design drawing, gives us a better idea about the location of the proposed project site, and also the charges on the project site itself. So site design and operation and maintenance calculator have been discussed in details in the subsequent slides of the presentation. Yeah, so the next itself is the site design drawing. So site design is one of the recommended documentations that you could submit as a part of your application. It provides us with an idea about the location of the EV chargers on the proposed project site. You could demarcate the location of the electrical room and other electrical infrastructure that is available on the site to support those particular chargers. You could also demarcate the location of the primary and/or secondary amenities available on the site. An important aspect of this particular site design is to roughly depict whether the site is accessible 24/7 all around the year. And also, like further, I would like to mention that for site design support, you could refer to the EV fast charging design and operational guidelines for public DCFC stations by BC Hydro. It is available again on our website. The next is the operation and maintenance calculator. So the operation and maintenance calculator was revised during the previous funding review round and was uploaded on our website. So I'll start with what is an operation and maintenance calculator. So an operation and maintenance calculator provides you as an applicant better idea of the operation and maintenance costs associated with the EV charging stations. We strongly encourage you to complete the operation and maintenance calculator, the template again, like I mentioned, for which is available on our website. On this slide, you could see a screenshot of a portion of the operation and maintenance calculator. You could see a number of different operation costs, such as in the first row itself, like you have the electricity costs, and under the electricity costs, you could see costs such as the demand charges and others. So I'll take the example of demand charges first. So demand charges are affected by the output of the station, as you might all know. The higher the output of the station, the higher would be the demand charges. So the operation and maintenance calculator, once you complete it, will help you decide the type of EV charging stations you want to go with, considering your budget. Although there are other factors that also includes that influence your decision to go with a particular type of charger, but this is one that you could use. This will provide you a rough idea of what type of an EV charging station that you might go with, based on the operation and maintenance costs and also the revenue. I'll be coming on to the revenue part next. The next is maintenance cost, under which you would find costs associated with routine maintenance, incidental damages, and others. After this, you could find other costs such as the network fees, on-site customer services, costs associated with insurance, and others. So now you could also see a table depicting the revenue. The operation and maintenance plan, the calculator would also provide you with an idea about the annual revenue generation from EV charging. It takes into account a number of data inputs. So once you complete the data inputs in the operation and maintenance calculator, you will have an idea about an average of approximate annual operation and maintenance cost and the revenue as well. In the end, I would also like to mention that the data collected to prepare this particular template and to ensure its accuracy has been provided by BC Hydro. The next is cost and budget expectations. So as a part of your pre-approval applications, you would be uploading the budget of your proposed project. This would include cost associated with purchase and installation of the EV chargers. So we use the budget provided in the application to calculate the rebate amount that would be set aside in the project if the project is approved for rebates. As for our expectation, the budget should be as itemized as possible. This is because only the eligible costs would be counted towards rebates. Some costs eligible for rebates include the DCFC or the level 2 charging equipment itself. Here, I would like to mention that there are equipment eligibility requirements as well that need to be adhered to, and these could be found under section 2.3 of the program guide. So now going back to the eligible costs, installation costs are also eligible, which would include labor and material costs, including earthwork, paving of one parking space per charger, and curb or protective bollards around chargers and others. Now again, for complete list of eligible costs, you could refer to section 2.4 of the program guide, and you could find a list of eligible costs under this particular program. Okay, so now I'll be summarizing the steps an applicant goes through while applying or participating in the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program. So the first step is to look at the eligibility requirements and also to participate in the CleanBC Go Electric Public Charger Program webinar to gain an understanding of the program and to come up with any questions and queries, and we'll try to address them as here at CleanBC. So yeah, so I will also mention that it is required for the applicants to attend or view the webinar, to attend the webinar or view the recording, which will be available after the webinar is uploaded online after this webinar session. The next step after this is to apply for the pre-approval. This would involve submitting the application for pre-approval with required information by 12th of August, 2022 by midnight Pacific Standard Time. After we receive the application, the Ministry of Energy Mines, the Energy Mines and Low Carbon Innovation of the Province of British Columbia will be reviewing it. They will be announcing the applicants who have been successfully pre-approved, and rest of the applications would be saved or put on hold for future funding review rounds. A funding agreement will be signed after you have been pre-approved. The successfully pre-approved candidates will sign a funding agreement with the Fraser Basin Council Society. And this funding agreement will include the rebate amount calculated based on the budget that you would be providing as a part of your application. After the funding agreement is signed, the applicant would get 18 months, 18 months to complete the project. After completing the project, the applicant will be submitting certain final documentation. And based on that, we'll be providing you with the rebates after that. So this is the complete application process step summary, starting from understanding the program till completing the project and getting your funding. So finally, I will mention that between now till the program deadline date, you could reach out to us through email for any questions and concerns that you may have, and we'll be happy to assist you. So you could reach out to us at publiccharger@pluginbc.ca, and you could also find the website resources here. So this particular presentation would also be uploaded online on our website, and the webinar recording will be uploaded as well.